is here. The Way to Break Free with your host, Angela Pedigo, will light a flame within you. Host Angela Pedigo is an author, speaker, and certified life recovery, grief, and joy restoration coach. Angela uses her own life experiences to help you navigate and guide you to success. She also has developed tools that incorporate her faith and her drive to overcome any obstacle in life. So please welcome the host of The Way to Break Free, Angela Pedigo.
Welcome, everybody, to The Way to Break Free. I am your host, Angie Pedigo, and I am so excited today. I have my guest and good friend, Ryan Kelly, with us today. Ryan has an amazing testimony that I just can't wait for you guys to hear. So without any delay, Ryan, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
I'm so glad that you're here. And to tell you guys a little bit about it, Ryan and I met several years ago through serving together in recovery communities. And so the organization that he is with and the organization that I was with, we partnered to bring programs and things like that. So we have just been able to work together a lot with a lot of people. So today we're going to get to hear about him, though. Ryan, tell us about you and wherever you want to start.
Well, I'll start by saying that I've been free from addiction for over 4 years.
Congratulations.
I found God, and I work in recovery, and my story is very similar to a lot of people, but it's my story. I grew up in Indianapolis, Indiana. Middle-class family, very well-to-do, good parents, good home, got a brother. Mom and dad worked a lot, paid their bills, did everything. I had everything I needed, had everything I wanted. There was just something different. I thought there was something different about me. I was kind of made fun of and bullied in school, and kind of turned me to an antisocial type of life. Got in trouble when I was younger. But really the story I want to talk about today kind of takes off later on in my life, and towards the last 4 or 5 years of my addiction and how bad it got. A little backstory on that. I've been to 17 treatment centers in my time.
I have to say, that is, when I found that out, when you and I met early on, has been one of the most inspiring things to me and to others, because I have to share that part a lot. First of all, there's 2 things about you straight out the gate. One, no one is immune to addiction. You're talking about your upbringing. You're talking about addiction is not just something that happens to people who don't have there's no economical or any kind of factor that says, hey, I'm immune to that or occurring in my family, because it can be anywhere. And B, for family members who sometimes, or even just people in general who are in recovery or trying to get in recovery, maybe you're in active addiction and you're thinking, I'm never going to get it. I'm never going to get it. When I hear that you went to 17 rehabs before you got it, but that one stuck, is so inspiring, because there's no point to give up. There's no point to give up on yourself. There's no point for loved ones to give up on you. Because just keep going, keep trying. And right out the gate, here we are. There's just really 2 really good things that stick out to me. So
the story with the 17, a lot of them, I had to get either family off my back or court off my back. Some of them, it was just winter and I had nowhere to go, so I knew they could take me. But some of them, I did attempt to work whatever program they would put me in, and I just wasn't ready. Too many reservations. I liked using drugs. I liked getting high. It filled this void that I had in my life. I didn't really know what the void was, but I knew that drugs either made me forget about it or made me relatively happy in that moment. But I've also graduated 11 of the 17 programs. So that to me just shows that just because you graduated a program, it doesn't stop. You have to keep working.
It has become a way of life, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. They can show you everything, and sometimes some of them are really good, but you're in a bubble, and then you get out in the real world and you have money, phone, car, key, and it's just too much because you don't have that protection around. You don't take it with you. That's what I didn't. I didn't take it with me.
What do you think taking it with you looks like, or should look like, since you've been in both sides of this now? Both situations.
For me personally, it was working in recovery. I never left.
That's good.
I've never left the recovery. Like, I still live in a recovery house right now to this day. I need to be surrounded by like-minded individuals. I have a huge pride and ego problem. So when I see people come in 1 or 2 days without drugs, it reminds me of where I was when I first got sober, and it just keeps me calling on God, and it keeps me working a program, keeps me calling my sponsor, and just keeps me giving back. But staying connected can mean many things. Go to meetings, get a sponsor. Got to work 10, 11, and 12 every day. Mm-hmm. You got to, I believe in Jesus Christ, but you got to find a power greater than yourself and pray to that. Go to whatever worship you do with that, however that looks for you. I talk a lot about Jesus because he saved my life.
That's good.
But I also understand that a lot of people have stigma towards that.
Yes.
And I was one of them. I didn't really grow up in a religious household. So when I got to that part, it was tough for me. So my God was just not really anything. It was just more like the group conscious of when I heard people that had more time than me talk about God. I just took that until I found my own. I think everybody has their own breaking point. Mm-hmm. So I been in and out of treatment centers, halfway homes, living in cars, living in tents, on the streets, just stuff you would never imagine. I would never imagine myself doing those things. And I remember feeling like I was cursed. Because towards the end, a lot of the houses I got into were free houses, and a lot of the free houses were faith-based. Mm-hmm. And, I always thought it looked good if I got baptized, that they would keep me. Mm-hmm. And so I've been baptized 23 times in my life. And I used to take that as I was cursed because it never stuck. And bad things always happen around me. And so I just always had this image of darkness around me, which was true, but it was my own darkness. And I just remember sitting in a trap house, yeah. And I was so high, and I wanted to get higher, and it was full of bed bugs, and I was smoking a lot of crack, and I thought that if I took a bed bug that had been drinking my blood and put it in my pipe, I would get higher. And it, like, looking back at that, it's just so sad. But that was kind of my breaking point, because when I kind of came to, I realized, like, what did I just do? Like, yeah. So I called my brother, and asked him if I could move to him. He lived in Jacksonville, Florida, and I called. It's like, can I move in with you and your wife? And he said yes. And then he called back and was like, well, my wife said no. and then he was just like, well, we'll help you get to Florida. And I took it as I was going to be moving in with them. Yeah. Well, when I got off the bus, there was a rehab bus waiting on me. A rehab van.
You didn't know.
I didn't know. or if I did know, I was so out of it. Like in my mind, I was going to my brother's. Yeah. And so I thought he tricked me. And it ended up being Haven House, you know.
Oh, yes.
So I went to Haven House down in Florida. And then they had started a program here in Tennessee.
I gotta ask, were you very resistant?
Yes.
Were you? Did it take them a little bit to get you to?
Well, they sent me to Tennessee. I don't know if that was a good or bad thing. I was so out of it, and like my first days there, they kind of like don't let you go to the thrift shop. They make you stay back and clean as you're going through the detox, and clean. You know, they make you be useful. Like that's the one thing I really liked about Haven House. There was no like, oh, you can go lay down and go coddle. Like there was no coddling. It was just that it was tough, but there was caring, but it was just toughness. Yeah. And I'd never really had that before. But I remember I was laying on the ground cleaning these chairs, but I had to like crawl because I was like detoxing so bad I couldn't move. Yeah. And I was kind of putting on a show too to try to get sympathy. Yeah. But
I love your honesty.
But it was somewhat like I you know going through it, and after the detoxes subsided and I started being able to move around, they pulled me in the office and they were like, we have a new place in Tennessee that we just started. There's not very many people there, and since you have, you know, there's no family for you around here, you know. My brother Jacksonville was like 6 or 7 hours away, I guess. Or something.
So it wasn't even close to
it wasn't even close.
Okay.
No. And I went. I was just like, you know, I was so broken at the point I didn't know what to do. I just knew I needed help. I just said, sure. What you know. And I got there, and I realized what Haven House was about, and everything I wasn't at that point. Yeah. I was a liar, manipulator, lazy. I was just a childlike mentality, dirty, just, and they break those. Break's not the right word, but they give you an opportunity to fix those character defects. Yeah. You know, you have to make your bed every day. You have to shave every day. Shoes have to be straight under the bed. You know,
it makes me think of military.
Boot camp. Yeah, druggy boot camp.
Yeah, I love it.
You know, and it's not for everybody. It's not for everybody, but
it'll make you tough.
It was exactly what I needed. It gave me the opportunity to become a man. Yeah. To learn about myself, work on myself, find value in myself, and you know, their program, they give you a sponsor, work the 12 steps, and it was a year-long program when I was there, and it was probably, I think I finished the steps at month 7. So I had worked through all the steps, got a whole list of my defects, started making some amends on the phone. But I remember this part vividly. We were building the rooms that they all have now, and I think it was room 4, fitting drywall, and I've never before I never did drywall. I was not the handyman, and they were just like, yeah, you're gonna learn, you know, and they taught me. They showed me. That's the thing, they show you.
That's cool.
They show you how to do it. So I'm sitting there hanging drywall, taking me forever, but I'm doing it. And I cut a piece wrong. I got mad. I threw it on the ground, and there was just this. It wasn't like a voice, but just in my heart, I felt, why are you still fighting? And just started crying. I got on my knees and asked Jesus into my life, and it was just a powerful moment. Right there, just. So I got tingles and stuff.
I love it. Let it out, brother.
It just was this moment that I will never forget. And then as as typical for me, I had to clean up my mess, and I got mad again, and I threw the broom down, and then I got on my knees again, and I did the same thing again, just because I don't know, I felt like maybe once wasn't enough.
Yeah.
And when I asked him in that second time, I just heard, you're safe. And I think that was something missing throughout my entire life. I just never felt safe for some reason.
He knew what you needed to hear.
He knew what I needed to hear.
Yeah.
I was safe and loved, and there was just peace and all the feelings of positivity associated with that, but just safe. I'd always been running. I never really felt home anywhere. And I finally felt home.
That is good.
Yeah.
We're going to take a quick break. Yeah. I got a question for you when we come back. So we'll hear a word from our sponsors and we'll be right back.
What if there were a super tiny device that could diagnose the brain and is smaller than a single human hair? What if you could see inside the brain to help an epilepsy patient during surgery or to help the fight against Parkinson's disease? Dr. Patricia Broderick is proud to announce the Broderick Probe, a biomedical and electronic breakthrough. Imagine a probe to help with the understanding and potential cure of brain-related diseases. To learn more, listen live to the Easy Sense radio show with host Dr. Broderick, Wednesdays 7 p.m. Eastern on the Bold Brave Media Network and TuneIn Radio. And to help support the Broderick Foundation, please go to EasySense.com and learn how, with your help, we can fight these horrific brain disorders. That's EasySense.com to learn more and help support the Broderick Foundation. Author, radio show host, and coach John M. Hawkins reveals strategies to help gain perspective, build confidence, find clarity, achieve goals. John M. Hawkins' new book, Coached to Greatness, Unlock Your Full Potential with Limitless Growth, published by iUniverse. Hawkins reveals strategies to help readers accomplish more. He believes the book can coach them to greatness. Hawkins says that the best athletes get to the top of their sport with the help of coaches, mentors, and others. He shares guidance that helps readers reflect on what motivates them, rediscover and assess their core values, philosophies, and competencies, find settings that allow them to be the most productive, and track their progress towards accomplishing goals. Listen to John Hawkins' My Strategy, Saturdays, 1 p.m. Eastern on the BBM Global Network and TuneIn Radio.
Welcome back. We are talking with Ryan Kelly, and he is taking us through his journey from addiction to recovery. And we were just getting into an amazing part. Ryan, you were sharing the moment that you surrendered and you let Jesus into your heart, and how amazing and powerful that moment must have been.
Yes.
I got a question. So, a couple questions. How long had you been at the center at that time at Haven House?
Roughly 8 months is my best guess.
So how, because I think a lot of times people try to figure out how to get there. How did you get from this God of the group conscious kind of concept to a belief in Jesus to even let him in?
Well, at the 90-day mark was when I fully committed to completing the program, giving it an actual shot. And then when I worked through the 12 steps, I kind of prayed to a being. While I believed it was greater than me, there was no definition to it. There was no image, or I can't really think of the word, but so AA, they would take us to AA every Friday night, and there was people there with way more time clean than me. And I just started asking questions, and listening to them. And everybody had their own image, own version of God. And I decided that I could come up with one. And then the other thing about Haven House is faith-based. There's Bible studies. Pastor Charles and Palmer come up and teach. They do sermons and they give you Bible verses to read, and they want to know what you think about it. And then they do a church review. So if you're actually giving the program a try, you start delving into the book, and things the Bible said started to make sense. I think a big part was my mind was clearing out of the drugs. And I started enjoying moments of my life, which I'd never done without drugs before.
Wow.
Since childhood, And so I just a collection of all those things happening, and seeing other people, like, you could see their genuine just happiness and joy when they talked about Jesus. And I wanted that.
Yeah.
And so, but I was resistant, and I was hard-headed, but I would have to say there was this one old timer in AA, and he was sharing, and he just said something like, something along the lines of like, who do you think you are to not believe in God? You pick yourself.
That's powerful.
Like who do you think you are? Like, how do you put yourself above God? And for some reason, I've heard it a ton of times, and 17 treatments, I've heard not everything, but I've heard a lot of the same stuff. But in that moment, that was what I needed to hear. And then things just got worse. I was so resistant, so fighting, and then there was that moment. Things
got worse around you or internally?
Internally. No. Things were going great around me.
Yeah.
And it was that spiritual warfare that I used to not believe in.
Yeah.
And it was just, I don't know if it was the enemy fighting for me, and I don't claim to know any of that. I just know that there was tension and turmoil inside me, and it wasn't until I broke down. And I don't cry a lot.
Yeah.
That was probably the 4th or 5th time I've cried my whole life.
Wow.
And so when I cried, and got on my knees and asked God into my life, that was the resistance being broken. That was me finally, I don't have this.
Do you feel like, so you've mentioned that you feel like something had been missing your whole life. Is that, did that get filled when you found him?
It started to.
Yeah.
Like I said, there was that a piece was put into the hole that I had. And sometimes I feel guilty because I did have a good childhood. Like, what did I have to have missing? Like, why did I have this hole? But it does, like I said earlier, it doesn't matter who you are, where you're from. I had that hole, and more than likely I had it so I would seek out Jesus for him to fill it. Otherwise I would never have.
That's one of the things that just in coaching people, and I'm sure you see it probably with newcomers into the program, or maybe they've not been new. Maybe they've been there for several months, kind of like yourself. You said you'd been there for 8 months before this happened. But to watch people continually strive for something that's missing, and they've got that hole, and it doesn't, addiction or not, but there's people who have this hole, and they're trying to fill it so hard, and yet so resistant to just let Jesus fill that spot. There's such a resistance, and it hurts my heart for people when I see that, because I'm like, I know I can feel it. I know if you'll just let him in, let him do it. But you can't, you can't push that on anybody. But he is the way. I mean, that's the whole purpose of the show. He is the way. He's the way to break free of anything. You were breaking free of a lot of a bondage in that moment.
Yes.
And that was the beginning. Like finding Jesus is the beginning. It's not the end, but it's like a new birth. I mean, like you get to start new. What was that concept like for you? Or what was that? Tell us about what life was like after that moment.
Okay. So, it was still tough. It was still struggles. Like I said, only a part of that hole was filled. But there was purpose now in my life, and I had a leader to show me what he wanted.
Yeah.
And that was a big thing that I was missing. I never really had a leader in my life. In the term, like, I had my dad and he showed me everything that was supposed to, but like I never had that, like, what am I here for leadership?
Yes.
And so that was a big change. But I still had a lot of defects I had to work on. And one thing about Jesus is you have to put in work. You have to show faith. You have to trust. You have to get into His Word. You have to help others, which I struggled with so much.
We have to show up.
Yeah, you have to.
We have to show up to the relationship, just like any other relationship we would have.
Yeah.
With our friends or our families, loved ones, our kids, like whatever. We have to show up to those relationships. And it's one thing to know Jesus, and it's one thing to believe in Him. But if you really want that life-changing impact, breaking the character defects, trying to, live better today than we were yesterday, but not just because it's the right thing to do, because we want to, because we want Him to fill the rest of that space and that hole.
Yes.
We have to show up like we would any other relationship. Say, hey, God, spend some time together,
Yeah. And so I think the biggest thing He showed me was, because I don't, I was very antisocial. I didn't like people. I still struggle with that sometimes. So he just was like, you need to stay and work in recovery. I was very resistant to that.
So it wasn't something you were looking forward to.
I told people I was, but I did not. I was trying to actually go back to working in a restaurant and try to get back to normal life, I guess is what I used to call it. But things just work. God just put this path, and while He didn't force me, I was strongly led. And one thing Step 11 has taught me through prayer meditation is discernment. And I don't think discernment gets talked enough about.
I agree with you
100%. Because I pray a lot and then I'll get an answer and I'm like, wait, which is that? So I try to immerse myself, and especially when it's really important. I ask other people. I pray on it, really just like close myself off, and then He'll let you know. And I'm beginning to tell when He lets me know and when He doesn't.
You can tell the difference. It's like you start learning the sound of His voice to you the more that was what it was for me.
Exactly. And I'm not 100%. I don't know if I ever will be, but I'm getting better. I
don't know if anybody ever is.
I'm getting better at it.
Yeah.
And so I stayed. I interned at Haven House. And thank God I did. I had a lot of anger issues that I had to work through. I didn't know how to talk to people. Pride and ego, real bad. Still is a little bit. But it gave me the ability to live while comfortable, but I was uncomfortable. I was doing things I didn't really want to do. And so it gave me this huge opportunity to grow. I got to lead other people. I got to watch other people the light come on, and that's an amazing feeling.
Isn't that rewarding? It makes it all worth it.
It does. It really does. I got to unfortunately watch people not get it to various results. I try to learn from all of it.
I was going to ask you, how do you handle the disappointment in just working in recovery? It's hard, you get your hopes up for people sometimes, or you feel like, after you invest this time and you build a bond with them, and not everybody makes it, but how do you personally deal with it?
I try not to take it personal. Wish them the best. Try to be there if they do need help, and they unfortunately don't make it. Pray for them, and
we just got to give them to God.
Yeah.
I
got myself into it in that sense, and I understand what it takes to do it, and not everyone is at that moment at that time. I just try to have an open mind and a understanding that when they do already, if they do come back, welcome them.
Yeah, 100%. That kind of leads me to something we had talked about earlier. Well, we'll take a quick break and we'll come back and I'll ask you that after the break. We'll hear a word from our sponsors.
Did you know that your beliefs create your entire reality, but it's the subconscious beliefs that do most of the creating? Belief shifter and life coach Shiraz can help you identify those limiting beliefs and eliminate them, often in a single session.
It was almost instant, I had relief right away.
Creating better health, relationships, careers, and finances. Let Shiraz help you step out of safety and into awareness.
Definitely something's happening. It's like a flow inside. It feels good.
Whether in person or online, Shiraz provides personal coaching, belief shifting. Visit Shiraz at energeticmagic.com or call 416-529-7429. Energetic Magic on the BBM Global Network, Tuesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern. Find your greater happiness. Be well. Be aware. Be magical.
Are you struggling to care for elderly parents or a spouse? Do you wonder if being a caregiver is making you sick? Are you worried about taking time off work to care for elderly parents and balance work, life, and caregiving? Has caregiving become exhausting and emotionally draining? Are you an aging adult who wants to remain independent, but you're not sure how? I'm Pamela D. Wilson. Join me for the Caring Generation radio show for caregivers and aging adults, Wednesday evenings, 6 Pacific, 7 Mountain, 8 Central, and 9 Eastern, where I answer these questions and share tips for managing stress, family relationships, health, well-being, and more. Podcasts and transcripts of the Caring Generation are on my website, PamelaDWilson.com, plus my caregiving library, online caregiver support programs, and programs for corporations interested in supporting working caregivers. Help, hope, and support for caregivers is here on the Caring Generation and PamelaDWilson.com.
Welcome back. Ryan, I want to ask you this question. We were talking about how not everybody that comes into the program is ready, to embrace the program at that point. And piggybacking off of some things that you were telling us early on in your own personal journey, a lot of the recovery homes that you went to, you were either forced to, like maybe had to, for different reasons, or doing it for other people, that sort of thing. And when you thought you were going to your brother's and there's the van and they're going to pick you up to go to this recovery home that you didn't know anything about, but you just kept saying yes for some reason. So was there you didn't have to be there for court, right? You didn't have to be there because anybody made you, but you just kept saying yes, even though you didn't want to. And then you made the comment about at 90 days, you made a decision. So how can you use that to inspire other people? Because I know a lot of times, we think, well, they're not ready for it, or maybe they're on the fence and, they've got the opportunity to maybe enter recovery homes, out on furlough or something like that, but it's not necessarily something they want to do. What would you tell them? Go anyway?
Yeah. I mean, especially if you're furlough, you get out of jail. Hopefully the place is better than jail.
Yeah.
But I mean, I guess the best advice I could give is if you're there, you might as well give it a try. The worst that can happen is
Yeah.
Like you never know, like it might click. I know several people that have gone to rehab because they were court ordered, or their mom or dad was gonna cut them off, or they wouldn't be able to see their kids anymore. And while there, something clicked. They started working the program, and they're still sober today. So I feel like if you're either in a treatment center or you're being pushed to go into one for outside reasons, give it a shot.
Yeah. What do you have to lose?
What do you have to lose?
You might have everything to gain.
Yeah.
That's good. So, yeah, take us from there then, where you were
interning. And
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, I entered the second part of the internship because it's a year-long internship. And I continued to grow, and I'm working really well with my mentor and decided to staff. And that was a great decision. I got to see kind of behind the curtains, and I was a little nervous about that because, but no, it was good. A lot of fears were set aside, and it was just I was learning so much. And then boom, my mentor relapsed. He had 9 years sober. Relapsed, and it threw a lot of uncertainty and stuff into my life. And lo and behold, Haven House makes a decision to have me and I co-run it. The Tennessee part. I don't think I slept at all the first couple of weeks. It was just so nerve-wracking. Like,
was all this happening kind of really fast?
Yeah, it happened super fast, and I had great support, but it was overwhelming. And trying to help, my mentor and figure out this program, and then they started changing the program up from I was resistant. So I was like, no, this is how I got saved, and this is how the program needs to be. But turns out I was wrong. But so all that blows over, and it's just we're working well together. We're helping people, and pride and ego got in the way again, and just things happen, and I got into a discussion with the head pastor, and it didn't go. My pride and ego got hurt, and it was decided that I should resign, step down. I stayed a couple extra weeks to kind of with the transition, but I did have a really good foundation. I was 3.5 years sober at that time, so I did have a strong foundation, but it was rocked.
Yeah.
Haven House was.
Well, you had a lot going on at that time. You lose your mentor.
Yeah.
And now your mentor and your sponsor are different, right?
Yes. At this time, I had a different sponsor than what Haven House assigned you a sponsor, so I kind of found my own. But here's how God steps in. So I make a phone call to some people in recovery, and I have an interview with Hustle Recovery, who I never heard of it up to that point, within days. And I go to the interview. They hire me on the spot. And here's how I looking back. I needed to grow more, but I had kind of reached a peak at Haven House. And I was kind of blocking other people from their growth.
Gotcha.
And so, God just made a situation where I could go somewhere and grow, and then the people underneath could grow, and then Haven House could grow. And at first I was kind of hurt. It was like, why does Haven House have to grow without me? But I feel like I had served my purpose there.
Yeah.
I did everything that was asked of me, and it was time for me to move on, and God wanted me somewhere else.
Do you think you would have ever left there if God hadn't put a little situation in there to kind of smoke you out a little bit? Like, I know sometimes when we're so attached in this comfort zone, I know for me, if I'm attached in this comfort zone, there might be something that's not really fun to handle, but it will launch me into the next place I'm supposed to be because I'm just not willingly going. You know what I'm saying? It's like
I don't know. I was pretty comfortable there.
Yeah.
The only time I ever talked about leaving was when I got mad, you know. But there was no like real thoughts about leaving, and so yeah, I don't obviously know the answer, but at that moment there were no plans to leave. But
and everybody grew from it.
Yeah,
like total God thing.
I mean, completely. You know, all the people there, the people. I mean, I've still watched Haven House flourish. They're still a big part of. Big part of my heart.
I love the Haven House. Very good program.
But it brought me to this place called Hustle Recovery.
Yes.
And
now tell us about Hustle.
Okay. So they focus on breaking down barriers of getting people into treatment. A lot of people are very resistant. They come up with excuses. I had every excuse in the book, and they help break them down. Have a dog, or we'll find a place for your dog to stay while you get the help you need.
So is it like do the dogs get to stay there? Or
we have a few dogs in our houses now, and
nice.
Some of the people have come and got them. Some unfortunately left treatment and left the dog there, but now we have a dog.
Yeah.
Dogs
are great comfort for people.
It is. But there's more obstacles than that. I don't have a ride. I'm not going anywhere if I don't have a pack of cigarettes. So we'll get you a pack of cigarettes. That's what it'll take for you to get help. But it's more than that too. So where I work is the Back to Work program.
Okay.
So we find people jobs, take them to and from work.
Nice.
We help them get their IDs, birth certificates, social security cards. If they got court dates, we take them there and back. We are up to date with their probation officers. We try to make whatever anxieties and fear. There's a guy there now. He's doing so well in our program, and whenever I talk to him about it, he just says that Hustle takes away a lot of the fear and anxiety that I have with the outside issues.
Nice.
How am I going to get to work? Where am I going to work? What am I going to do with my money? Can I ever get a license? I owe this much. And through just breaking down the barriers a little bit at a time, he's well on his way to knocking out everything he was fearful of.
That's wonderful.
We with the work schedule and all that, it's sometimes hard to get to outside meetings. We can only get them to a couple a week, but we have people come in. We have one guy come in with 30 years sobriety, and he comes in and runs a meeting.
Nice.
We have another guy lead a Christ-centered 12-step group. So when we can't get them to the meeting, we bring the meeting to them.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That is really awesome. Do they have to meet a certain milestone in the program to enter that part of the program?
We're supposed to have 28 days, supposed to be at like detox and through a treatment center.
Yeah.
But we understand that everybody's different.
We're
more client centered.
Yes.
Where we instead of like, okay, boom, 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 check. What does this person need?
Yeah. It's not a one size fits all.
Exactly.
Yes.
There are some concrete ground rules.
Yes.
You got to have that in place, but we just like helping people.
Yeah.
And
like being the bridge for them, bridging the gap.
And some of them stay on and work.
Nice.
Got 3 guys on the staff now. They're graduates of the Hustle program, and now they're working for us. That it reminds me of the internship at Haven House. I love
that. Has to make you feel good seeing other people kind of following that track that you got to follow, because you know what it's like, the blessing that comes from that. Yeah. So I get asked this question a lot by people who are considering going to recovery facilities or whatever, the length of time of each program. How long is the program for Hustle?
It's the back to work is 6 months.
Okay.
And then we do have aftercare. We have graduate houses. We have a couple halfway houses, like your traditional halfway house.
Nice.
And then, but typically 6 months.
Okay, cool. Cool. That's good to know.
The great thing about it is because, when you're especially in early recovery, if you get a full check, sometimes it's not great.
Right. It's not good to have a lot of money.
So we have what we call the recovery fund. Mm-hmm. And 50% of the check goes into it, and it's like a savings account.
Nice.
So it gives them some money so they can learn how to budget and stuff, but it doesn't give them that.
Yes.
$600. I'm gonna go.
Yes.
Back out.
Yeah.
So,
and that's one of the things you and I have worked so closely with, is the budgeting aspect of things. So, and I really enjoy that. I love that you teach them those skills. That goes back into my old banking days. But we're going to take another quick break, and we'll be right back.
What if there were a super tiny device that could diagnose the brain and is smaller than a single human hair? What if you could see inside the brain to help an epilepsy patient during surgery, or to help the fight against Parkinson's disease? Dr. Patricia Broderick is proud to announce the Broderick Probe, a biomedical and electronic breakthrough. Imagine a probe to help with the understanding and potential cure of brain-related diseases. To learn more, listen live to the Easy Sense radio show with host Dr. Broderick, Wednesdays 7 p.m. Eastern on the Bold Brave Media Network and TuneIn Radio. And to help support the Broderick Foundation, please go to EasySense.com and learn how, with your help, we can fight these horrific brain disorders. That's EasySense.com to learn more and help support the Broderick Foundation. Author, radio show host, and coach John M. Hawkins reveals strategies to help gain perspective, build confidence, find clarity, achieve goals. John M. Hawkins' new book, Coached to Greatness: Unlock Your Full Potential with Limitless Growth, published by iUniverse. Hawkins reveals strategies to help readers accomplish more. He believes the book can coach them to greatness. Hawkins says that the best athletes get to the top of their sport with the help of coaches, mentors, and others. He shares guidance that helps readers reflect on what motivates them. Rediscover and assess their core values, philosophies, and competencies. Find settings that allow them to be the most productive and track their progress towards accomplishing goals. Listen to John Hawkins' My Strategy, Saturdays, 1 p.m. Eastern on the BBM Global Network and TuneIn Radio.
We're back from the break. Ryan, you have shared so many amazing things about your journey yourself, and like what you're doing now in life, and just continuing to pay that forward and made a career out of it, and how that helps you staying in recovery and getting to live in those joyful times, because recovery is full of joy. It really, really is. One of the things I do want to mention for anybody who's out there listening, that maybe you're kind of on the fence about whether you want to go into a recovery home, or like, well, I don't even know where to start kind of thing, because we get those calls a lot, Haven House has 2 locations, right? Where are they located? What states?
Santa Rosa Beach, Florida, and Hartsville, Tennessee.
Okay. So, and that's just men.
Just men, faith-based.
Yes, faith-based. Yeah. And then Hustle, are they all just stationed in Tennessee?
Yes.
But it's men and women, right?
Yes. We have 1 women's house, 3 men's house for the back to work program, the graduate house, and the 2 halfway houses.
Nice. And
planning for more.
Nice. So, and of course, these are just 2 amazing facilities that we've touched on today, but there are so many out there. And, I had a guest on here one time, Chantel was on here, and we were talking about therapy, and sometimes you have to therapy shop, right? you've been into many recovery facilities, and you know they're not all the same. They're all structured very differently. If something is like, let's say you go to that first home, or maybe you've been to one before and it just wasn't the right fit for you, for whatever reason, would you encourage people like to keep trying, keep going to find the one that works for you?
Yeah.
Definitely. What advice would you give to people?
Go to meetings on that note, and try to ask people that have maybe been to several programs and get maybe not their personal feelings on it, but just what the environment was like there, what the rules are, and get to know what your boundaries are and what will work for you and what don't. One of the things that I'll plug Hustle again. We have a navigator, and you call them and tell them your story, what you're going through, what your needs are, and they have a list of over several hundred programs in the state of Tennessee, and they will try to, whether you have insurance, no insurance, man, woman, and they will give you options of, you can go here, 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 and here. And they've gone to most of them, taken tours of most of them, and do it themselves. And I know there are other places that do that too. So I would just research. If you really want to get help and you're on the fence, look into it.
It's never going to hurt to make a phone call and ask questions, is it? Just because you make the phone call and inquire doesn't mean you're committed to having to go, but you just, your knowledge is power in anything and helps you make decisions. So that's good advice. So tell me today, we were talking at the break about we're just enjoying the light, how darkness circles recovery or addiction a lot, and traumas and things that we go through. And, today we're just really enjoying being in the light. Like, what's the greatest joy that you have in becoming a follower of Jesus?
Oh, man.
Narrow that down.
Greatest joy since a sense of belonging. I always felt I was different in a bad way, and since following Jesus, I have just found purpose. I found my tribe.
Yeah.
I don't feel alone, and it's not because I live in a house with 27 guys. I never feel lonely, and he took that from me. So that's good joy in that. Even when I'm by myself, I'm not by myself. And that safe, as I said earlier.
Safe.
Maybe that's, I don't know, I could spew 1,000 different words, but safe. I think that's the greatest joy I found when I found Jesus was I feel safe.
That is beautiful. That's beautiful. I love how you touched on that. A lot of people struggle with the reason that they use a lot of times. The drug itself, whatever your addiction is a coping mechanism for what you feel underneath there. And sometimes for people, a lot of times it is loneliness. And you can be in a place with a ton of people and still feel as lonely as you can possibly feel, even though there's physical bodies around, there's people around. But he has a way of filling that lonely space because, like you said, you never feel alone.
Never.
Well, how do you nurture that?
So I have a routine in the morning. I get up, I pray, and then I journal. And I still have a lot of negativity in my heart and head still, even after all this time. But so what I do is I journal the negative things, and then I take them and I turn them into either prayers or blessings. So if it's like, this person annoys me, I pray for this person to have a great day. If it's, I can't stand this person, it's like, I'm going to do this for this person. And it just sets me, and it makes me interact with people, and I feel safe doing it.
Nice.
So it sets my tone, it sets my mood. It just keeps me centered. It just reminds me that without Jesus, I can't do it.
I can, he can, so I'll let him, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I encourage everybody out there, I don't care if you relate to addiction or not, the whole world could benefit from a 12-step program, literally, yes. Because it's just straight Bible principles, and we all could use a little dose of that, yes. But it helps you work through things you otherwise don't know how to navigate. So, Ryan, I want to thank you for being on here today. This has been such a joy to just hear everything that you have to say, to be able to catch back up. It's been a little while since you've went to Hustle that we've got to just connect again. So thank you for coming on here today. And
thanks for having me.
Yeah, and I appreciate the inspiration. So if anybody out there is listening today and you need help, look up Hustle Recovery, look up Haven House, look up anywhere, and just start making those phone calls. Just take that first step. So thank you guys for tuning in today. Thank you, Bold Brave TV, for hosting the show. And we will see you guys next week.
Don't give up.
Yeah.
This has been The Way to Break Free with your host, Angela Pedigo. The one thing Angela attributes her personal victories to is her relationship with God and her deep faith. Tune in each week and hear stories and testimonies of people in personal and professional trenches and how they overcome them with their own faith in God. The Way to Break Free has something for everyone, everywhere. Right here, Wednesdays, noon Eastern on the Bold Brave TV network.